This screencast is on the difference between a public and a private good. This is starting off Unit 5, which is getting into the role of the government. And there's three things really you need to be able to differentiate between the private and the public good. The first one are the characteristics, where we'll talk about if they're rivalrous or excludable. The second thing is on the definition of the demand curves for a private and public good. And then the third one is being able to see how the market demand curves for the private and public good are created, and how that gives you the quantity then that is decided to be produced at. So the first part is the characteristics, where we're talking about excludability and rivalry. With excludability, it's whether when something is decided to be produced, if there is ability to be able to exclude people from being able to benefit from it. I think one of the best examples is national defense, because when a policy is created, you cannot pick and choose who is going to benefit from the defense that the government is providing. We don't walk around with like bubbles or anything. Another one I think about is downtown Elmhurst. If you're walking downtown in the middle of the night or during the nighttime, the lights are on the street, and they can't exclude who is going to be able to benefit from the lighting. And that's where you get into that whole free rider problem, because if people did want the lighting in downtown Elmhurst and other people did not, well, if people started paying for it and you can't exclude people, then the people who could be excluded, who didn't pay, they would free ride off of those who then were giving money to be able to benefit it. Rivalry, on the other hand, is about if I sell a good, can I only sell it to one person? Or do multiple people get sold this one product at the time? And so it's about the number of people that when it is sold, the amount that is given. So when we're talking about a private good, you can both exclude and it's a rivalrous good, meaning only one person consumes it at a time. A public good, on the other hand, you can exclude people, and then also you have this multiple people participating at one time. It's good to know examples that come along with it. When you think about transactions that you partake in, those are those private goods. Buying a car, they have here food, these are different examples of things that go with it. For the public goods, the other extreme, you have that non-rivalrous and non-excludability. And so when you look at like public TV, for example, all you're doing is plugging in your TV, and you automatically get ABC, NBC, CBS, and I think PBS. And so that's where you can exclude people, and if one person's watching it, it doesn't mean that somebody else can't watch it also. This one here would be about cable TV, because with this one, if I don't pay for it, right, so then I could be excluded from Comcast. However, if I decide to buy Comcast and somebody else gets Comcast, they could be on the same bandwidth or however it is that it is distributed, but they could ride off of that same one, because sometimes when Comcast goes out, multiple people are affected. So that's where you would see that non-rivalrous come into play. Okay, and so then we get into the definition for the demand curves with the private and the public good. So we hopefully are familiar with this one, and this is the willingness and ability to consume at a given price. And if you just take this and flip these two, you will then have the public goods demand curve. So it's the willingness and ability to pay at a given quantity. So we have a set amount of people that are going to get it, and what we're looking at is, well, what value do you find it at? Because that then would give the social benefit going on for then this government to decide if they're going to distribute it or not. So be able to recognize how you're taking this willingness and ability to consume at a given price, flipping it, willingness and ability to pay at a given quantity in order to give the public goods demand curve. And that's what we're going to look at now, is the difference between the demand curves. For a private good, it's the individual's horizontal summation. Remember, it was that willingness and ability to consume at a given price. So at this price here of $4, you can see that person A, their willingness and ability to consume is also at a quantity of 4. And at that $4, the willingness and ability to consume of person B is also at a quantity of $4. And so when you're looking at the market demand curve, which involves, if this Econville only consisted of person A and B, it would be the willingness and ability to consume how much at that given price of $4. And so 4 plus 4 is giving you that 8 that you have for the amount that they would have at this $4 price. So it's a horizontal summation. You're summing up the quantities because your price is fixed. Whereas when we're getting into the public good, it's a vertical summation, meaning that you have a given quantity, person A here, at a quantity of 1, you can see that their willingness and ability to pay is $25. Person B at a quantity of 1, their willingness and ability to pay is at $21. And so the willingness and ability to pay for a given quantity, when we look at the benefits here, the amount that they value, you end up with 46. So you're adding up vertically the prices. You need to be comfortable with being able in this unit to switch out supply and demand with benefit and cost. So marginal private benefit means one person. So in this case here, it's Ted, and his marginal private benefit is his demand curve. Alice's marginal private benefit is her demand curve. The summation of the prices at a given quantity gives you a marginal social benefit. And this here would be Ted and Alice combined together what their social benefit is. The social cost is the same cost for each person, but it's one set cost, and so that's why we have a horizontal social cost curve. And so then you look, where is it that marginal benefit equals marginal social cost, and that's then giving you the quantity of the public good that should be produced based upon the social willingness and ability to pay at a given quantity. So the major formula of this unit is allocative efficiency, producing that right mix of goods, but the formula that you're using for it is marginal social benefit equals marginal social cost. And so you're adding up the individual private benefits to give you the social benefit, and you have a constant, in this case, a constant social cost curve, and that's where you look at the intersection that goes along with it to tell you how many. Sometimes, though, you could have an upward sloping supply curve, which would be the marginal social cost. So it's not always going to be shown this way. It just makes it easier for people to be able to look at it. So allocative efficiency is extremely important.